Okay, so she had some time to dry, and what I did was I cleaned up the hatch covers, the areas around the hatch covers, because with the Edmund Fitzgerald, the tops were red. Now there are a lot of pictures where the entire thing is red, even the sides. But what I've been using is my thumbnail. It actually has the ends and the sides of all the hatch covers. They're actually white, and I think it looks like a nice contrast to have it that way. What I want to do now is we got the smokestack. I had taken off the masks, and what I want to do is I want to put the stars on. And in addition to the stars, we can actually think about finishing the lifeboats. So let me take these off because these had more than enough time to dry. When it comes to the lifeboats of the Edmund Fitzgerald, they were made of aluminum, and they were red on the bottom part, and then on the top around the hull it was white. So it was kind of half and half, and the inside was red. So we're going to paint that red on the inside and get them off the little tape. So you can see these looking pretty good, and we're actually going to do a strip around just on the top part. And like I said, the insides were red. So those are going to be, we have to paint those to finish them up. I'm showing you guys the stars now. And these are going to be put onto the side of the smokestack, and I want to be careful with the paint, with the getting it off the tape. Maybe it might be easier to take the entire tape off. And hopefully you guys can see the stars. Okay. And these are going to go on the side. Just a little dab. And I want to take the star. There. Because the star wasn't actually painted onto the side of the smokestack, it was actually a separate piece. So that looks good. Let's try to do the other side now. There we are. Hopefully you guys can see that. Might have to. There. So we got the stars on the side of the smokestack, and what I want to do is we'll touch up the top a little bit with the black. Now when it comes to the black, what I want to do is some of the windows or the portholes, I want to touch up just a little bit of black just to accentuate the areas, and that it is dark on the inside. You can see the windows or the portholes on the front. So what I want to do with that is we're going to put it black. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a paint pen. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm going to use the paint pen and kind of shake it around. And this is going to be fine points, so I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. All the portholes, if you can see on the side. So the inside, the rooms are going to be dark. So what I want to do is I just want to show that there are windows there. See, like on the front, we have the windows around the doors. So let's start with the side. We're going to do some of the windows on the side just to show that they're actually dark. Not a lot. See now how we can start to see the porthole? And there's actually a porthole on the door. So we make a little dot just like that. And let's do this side. See, just something little, as small as that, can look really cool. See what I mean? Just how subtle that is. Just like that. So the windows, that looks pretty good. And let's do the ones in the front now. The same thing on the bottom deck. The boathouse, the wheelhouse actually has a porthole on the door. And when it comes to the front, I want to do the windows for the bridge or the wheelhouse. So this is going to require a steady hand. There. See how we have the windows now? And we're going to do the same thing now for the port side. There. When it comes to the windows, I think, again, I want it to be ever so subtle. Let's see. The back, we have the windows now in the back that need to be darkened in. There. Because these are drilled, I don't really need to paint those in. So we got I think I have all the windows, so that looks pretty good. All the portholes, all the windows, and just something as small as that, we start to see the detail come out. All right, so that was pretty simple. When it comes to some of the structures now, the front of the ship, the radar mast was actually black. So what I want to do is we're going to use the primer. We're going to use the primer to paint the mast black. We're going to need to paint the boats. We're going to use the red. We're going to use the white for the stripe that's going around the boats. And let's see, there's a couple of structures that were on the ship. We have the water tanks. Those were kind of like almost like a yellowish. Then we had these areas on the back that were either antennas or some kind of radar, and those were like a gray. So let's do the yellow. I should have done that when we had done the smokestack. So I'm going to use the craft paint. I'm going to start with the darkest color. So we're going to use yellow. We need gray. Let's see. I'm going to use granite gray, and I'll tell you what we're going to use that for. We got the yellow for the tanks. We got the gray for the radar. We got a couple of other structures on there, but for now, let's just take care of that. Yeah. And again, ever so subtle. And now for the structures on the sides of those. Actually, let me clean this off. Okay, so when it comes, like I was telling you guys about the gray, these structures, I'm not sure what they are, if they're antenna or something for the signals. Those are going to be gray. And these structures that are around, I'm not quite sure what they are. either, but that's going to be gray as well. Just like that. And when it comes to the gray, like I said, for the structures on the deck, that looks pretty much it. So I want to do the platform now on the mast. So we're going to do this in gray. Yeah, that's very subtle. Okay, and I'm thinking about do the coal bunker. Now, see, when it comes to the plans, the deck plans or the building plans that I have, that's when the ship was first built. This part right here, you guys may or may not know, that's not a cargo hatch. That's actually the coal bunker hatch. So that's where the coal would go in. Towards the end, before she sank, she was converted to the oil, but this is where it was coal. So hopefully you guys can see the difference in the color. So I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to use the magnifying glass, and we're going to do that whole deck in granite gray. So I'll show you what that looks like when it's done, because I'm going to need to use the magnifying glass, and you might not be able to see what's going on as I go along. All right, let me show you guys. So the gray, it's a subtle gray. Let me put the light out. And when it dries, it'll be a little bit darker. Not a lot, but it was gray. I think the top one as well. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint the top deck, the stack deck as well. All right, let me shut the light off to kind of show you guys. See, it's subtle. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to see the difference, but the decks were actually gray. And I'm thinking the granite gray worked pretty well, because when you look at the ship at a distance, you can tell the deck is not white, but it's subtle. It's not like it's dark gray or like a battleship gray. So I want it to be subtle where you can tell it's a different color, but it blends in nicely to the white. So we're going to do the same thing for the front. Over the wheelhouse, that's going to be gray as well, so we need to light up for that. Again, I got to keep cleaning off the gunk off the brush. Yeah. Hopefully you guys can see that deck. And I think lastly, we've got the deck just below that. And that should pretty much take care of the decks. Okay, so we did the decks. Hopefully you can see the deck where the radar tower is. We got the deck with the generators, all the winches, and we've got the deck down in the front at the bow. So that's all set. I think what I want to do now is, when it comes to the different colors now, we got the structures. What I have to do is paint the bench on the back, and that'll be brown. That's really it for the structures in the back now. Structure in the front, we're going to do the black for the radar tower. Right, hopefully you guys can see the bench, and then later on we're going to put the ends black. Let's go ahead now. I'm going to do just a little bit. There is these little channels where the inside of the boat, and we got to get that red as well. And what we need to do is, I'll do the other half in a minute when it gets a little bit dry. But we got to do a little white strip. It's going to be a little bit tricky to go around the top. So let's do the same thing for the other one. Yeah, that looks good. And what I'm going to do is later on we have to put the white around. I just want to make sure it's a little dry so I can handle it. Okay, so we got that. If you guys can see that. So those are pretty good. All right, now we got to wait for them to completely dry so we can put the white strip on. And then once that's dry, we can think about actually putting them onto the ship. We're going to glue them. We can't do anything until it's dry. So I think we can move on now, and I want to actually do the radar tower, and that's going to be black. Need a lot. Hopefully you guys can see the radar tower. So let's just make sure that we got the paint everywhere it needs to go. See, not a lot. I just wanted to clean up the lines. Nice and subtle. All right, that looks good. Okay, so now I think we're ready to just kind of let everything dry now. So let me shut off the light so everything's not washed out. So when it comes to the back, you can see we did the windows, we did the smokestack star, we did the areas, the structures on the decks, the water tanks. We did the windows in the front around on the aft stack house or the deck house. We did the little bench on the back, my private little bench. You can see the windows that we did, and we did the decking. The decking is gray. You can see we left the coal bunker white. And again, she was converted to oil, but the plans that I have is when the ships were built, when the ship was built, so that's why we have the coal bunker still there. We did the star on this side of the ship, and we're going to do the strip along the lifeboat. So when that's ready, we're going to put the lifeboats on, and then we'll just have to do the rigging. Over to the front of the ship, the bow section, you can see we did the windows. We did the decking. We did the radar mast, the radar tower. The radar tower was black. You can see the windows of the wheelhouse, as well as the deck, the wheelhouse, and the deck house. We have the generators all painted up. We've got the windows done. We did the little life rings that's on the back where the name Edmund Fitzgerald is going to go. So the front, what we got to do is we got to do the rigging, and I don't know if I'm going to do the flags because they'd have to be really tiny. But there is some rigging on the front, on this platform on the back. Actually, you know what? While I'm thinking about it, we got that life raft. It's not a boat, but it's a raft, and it's red. So I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting on the raft just behind the wheelhouse. While I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that looks really cool. All right. Again, we'll do it subtle. So let me shut the light off. You may not be able to see it, but right behind the wheelhouse. And again, it's not a boat. It's not a lifeboat, but it is a life raft that they had behind the wheelhouse. So that's all set now. We got the decks. And when it comes to painting the midsection of the ship, the only thing that we got to do is when we do the finishing touches, we'll put the hatch cover crane on. Because I still have to, we got to trim it down a little bit. But let me just kind of put it into position really quick to show you what it's going to look like. So that'll go like that. We'll have the hatch cover crane that's really going to bring the detail out. So yeah, when everything's dry, we'll put the lifeboats on, and we're going to do the rigging. And then we just got to think about doing the name, the title, Edmund Fitzgerald. I thought about doing it by hand, but I didn't want to go through all this just to have it come out looking terrible. So I'm going to get decals in 1/400 scale, and that'll be its own video on itself. And that'll actually be the finishing touches. We're going to do that last. So the next video, my friends, we're going to put the lifeboats on, and we're going to do the rigging. We'll put the anchor crane on, and any of the last details we'll do to finish her up. So until that video, my friends, thank you so much for watching, and I really do appreciate all the kind words. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys soon.